Hi everybody, Marla Mack here. Today's video, I'm going to address the importance of having the correct birth time for your human design chart and ways to find out your correct birth time if you are not certain of your time yourself. So I get this question every so often, and most recently I got this question from a friend and a member of my Facebook group. So I wanted to address it in today's video. How important is it to have your correct time for your human design chart? And the answer is it's crucial. It's absolutely vitally important. If, however, you are in a position right now where you're not 100% sure your birth time, but you do want to start looking into your human design, then I would say go ahead with the approximate time that you have. And here's what you can do. So if you are what I call it step one or stage one, and you're new to human design and you're looking to, discover your human design and go a little bit deeper, this is somewhere where not having the exact birth time, but having an approximate birth time might still be good enough for you at this stage. As much as I impress upon having 100% accurate birth time, here's what I mean if you're approximate. Let's say hypothetically, your mom says to you, you know what, I know you were born between 8:30 a.m. and 9 a.m., but I'm not sure exactly what time within that window. That's still a decent window to work from. So what I would suggest is you do some time sampling. And what that means is you want to test your human design chart at different times outside of that window. So before and after, as well as maybe halfway through. So if we're talking about between 8:30 and 9 a.m., you want to look at 8:45 a.m. Let's approximate it. We're going to cut it in half. 8:45 a.m. is going to be your sample chart. Now, what I like you to do is look maybe a good 30 minutes beyond each time. So let's say if we're talking about 8:30 to 9 a.m., so you want to look at 8 a.m., so that's 30 minutes before the first part of the window. And then look at 9:30 a.m. because that window your mom said was about 9 a.m., right? So we've got an extra 30 minutes on either side. Now, what you want to do is you want to see whether or not the keynotes from your free chart change over from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. That's namely your human design type and strategy. Do those change? Your human design authority, does that change? Your profile and the centers that are defined or colored in the chart versus the centers that are undefined or white in your chart. And if nothing changes between that first chart at 8 a.m. and that second chart at 9:30 a.m., that also means that information in particular is going to remain or should remain consistent in your 8:45 a.m. chart, which is the sample chart you're going to use. However, that being said, I would still encourage you to find out your accurate birth information as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, you can use your sample chart at 8:45 to start investigating what it means to be a certain human design type and the strategy that comes with it, and your human design authority and your profile and your centers. You can start investigating that and looking into it, but you still, like I said, want to find as accurate a birth time as possible. So it's also important as you start getting a little deeper into your human design, because if you're going to move into what I have as step 2 as aligned to your human design in business, right? And using your human design to help you build a business that feeds your soul, it's imperative to have accurate birth time. You want to make sure all the keynotes of your chart are as accurate as possible as you work through that material. So how do you actually find the correct information for your human design chart, your correct birth information? Well, there are a few ways. The first one, if you haven't already, is ask family members, especially your parents, particularly your mother, if that option is available. Now, oftentimes, though, I do have clients who've said, my mom thinks it's between X and Y, or it's around this time of day, or that kind of thing. So that information may not always be available from a family member. Another one is, if direct relatives don't have that answer, do you have any birth records that are available at home or at a family member's home? Do you have a birth certificate with your birth time? Often birth certificates don't have that information, but some might. Do you have any hospital records at home that indicate birth time? Is there a baby book that records birth time? I had a client whose family kept a baby book and pictures when she was a baby, and they actually had handwritten her birth time, hour and minute, in the book. So what if those options are a dead end? Well, the next option is hospital records. So hospitals will usually have an archive where they have medical records stored. And there is something called an Access to Health Information Office or something similar at hospitals. And you can request a copy of your medical files from that hospital. If you have attended that hospital for other things as well, beyond just your birth, you'll want to be specific when you request your records, that you want specifically your birth records, including your exact birth time. And so the best way to go about it is to search online for the name of the hospital you were born at, get that information, and then you can search online, how do I obtain my medical records from the name and location of that hospital. So let me repeat that. You want to search online and ask in the search bar, how do I obtain my medical records from the name and location of the hospital you were born at? And oftentimes there will be a page, or you get to the webpage for the Access to Health Information Office and instructions on how to access your medical records. Typically, there's a form to fill out. You'll have your name, your birth date, and so on and so forth. And the more specific information you can give them, the better, because that will help them locate your birth records. Now, it didn't cost me anything. I did that for myself. Sometimes you can email the form in. That will probably be faster. An alternative is printing and mailing the form in. When I printed and mailed my form in, from the day I mailed my form to the day that I received my records in the mail, it was 6 weeks. So that was extremely handy to know. That was a 6-week turnaround to access my birth records from my hospital, because I, too, as a human design specialist, an advanced human design specialist, I always want to make sure that my information is accurate. Another option is to inquire through Vedic astrology or someone who can access the Akashic records and use a service called birth time rectification. And what this means is, through other means, they can actually pinpoint your birth time. I don't have direct experience with this. I don't know exactly how Vedic astrologers will do this. Not every astrologer offers this service, so it's very important to find somebody who can. And but I do have a contact who does it through the Akashic records. If that's something you need, please reach out to me. And what's very important to note is you can really only request for yourself, because you need to grant permission to the person accessing the Akashic records and your Akashic records. You need to give them permission to open your records for you. And if you're wondering what Akashic records are, consider the Akashic library like the spiritual library, the library of your past lives, your souls, your soul, period, and singular, not plural, and a record of your past experiences and everything that's transpired. And so included in that record for you would be your birth time and your current lifetime. So those are different ways that you can access the records for your birth time. And just as a side note of how important this is, because as you watch, and if you have access to deeper keynotes in human design, every so many minutes, there are characteristics about the deeper keynotes in a human design chart that shift. And sometimes a shift can be with even at the top level within minutes. You can have somebody move from being a manifesting generator to a projector or a reflector, just within the space of a minute or two. So this is why it's really important to have your accurate birth time. And just as a side note, it turns out that when I received my medical records, my birth time was incorrect. But that's okay. My birth time was off by 1 minute. So it didn't ultimately change the deeper keynotes in the chart. However, it is good for me now to have validated the fact that my birth time is 1 minute later than I always thought it was. So hope this helped. If you have any questions, just reach out. And Marla Mack signing off. Have yourself an awesome day. Cheers.